What's going on, everybody? The original Mako back, and here we are again. It is the time of the month when Gunfire releases their updates, and as always, I have taken a break from the game, but I said I would go over patch notes that they make, because that's the game that kind of started everything here, so we're going to go over the new patch notes. I will say, I briefly skimmed the very first part of the patch notes, and maybe there's enough here to maybe try it out a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of new stuff that they added, and some interesting info, actually, in just the first paragraph. So we're going to be going over everything as per usual. And yeah, before we get into it, be sure you check the links down below, as always. If you want to see me potentially play this game live again, check out the Twitch channel, drop it a follow. We have a ton of fun over there, bunch of cool games that we play, and some other stuff you might be interested in that's not Gunfire related, so check it out. I'd really appreciate it. Also, be sure you hit the subscribe button, because when the DLC for Gunfire comes out, we are going to be playing it. We always cover all the patch notes, and it's the premier place for all new information, so be sure you hit the subscribe button. But that being said, let's go ahead and get into the patch notes, shall we? So these patch notes came out yesterday, and we're just gonna go through it. There's a lot here, so we'll kind of see what happens. Anyway, in this update, there are 5 new exclusive spiritual blessings, 10 new scrolls, and some enemy affixes are added. We also adjusted the quality and effect of some scrolls. Yeehaw! About the upcoming DLC, which will be released in the 3rd quarter this year, so almost 1 year after the full release of the game, which is interesting. We are preparing new heroes, new weapons, and a new game mode for you. So please stay tuned. So they are going more than thank God, right? It's been 1 year, so hopefully there was going to be something like that, but that's promising. The new game mode is the one I'm really interested in. That could be a big deal for the game. So I'm excited. I'm a little more excited than I have been in the past. So in the timetable and plan of upcoming DLCs and free updates will be released next week. So next week we'll learn something about upcoming DLCs, multiple DLCs, and free updates. And then he shout out to Slight RNG, who is a big Gunfire creator as well. So shout out to you, Slight, for giving suggestions on different things as well. So let's get into the actual new stuff. Spiritual Blessing. There are 5 new exclusive ones. I'm assuming 1 for each character. Wait, that's not right. There's 6 characters. Okay. Anyway, the dog, Albai. Plus 2% and minus 2% weapon damage for every 1% of health recovered / missing. This bonus is affected by max health and will not be lower than 0%. So, for every 1% of your health recovery you have, you get plus 2% damage. And for every 1% of health you have missing, you lose 2% damage. I think. That doesn't seem that great, frankly. Elemental Orb for the Crown Prince. Elemental Orb has a 3-second cooldown. It can be triggered after dealing damage to enemies. Reload weapons to change the type of the orb. Plus 5% elemental damage and minus 0.1 second cooldown for 10 seconds when you defeat an enemy affected by elemental effect. So just a new thing to add to the elemental synergies. Once again, this one doesn't seem too crazy, however, because the Crown Prince's orb isn't one of the best things in the game. For the bird, deal weapon damage to the enemies to cause 1 extra damage based on the weapon's basic damage. What? Deal weapon damage. So every weapon hits twice every second? So it has a 1-second cooldown, but for every damage you do, it causes 1 extra damage? Is that what this is saying? Interesting. That's something I'm gonna have to see to understand what's going on here. But it should be interesting. And then for the tiger, gain 1 stack of gradual improvement for your crit, while reduce 1 stack for a non-crit. Each stack adds 0.3 times crit up to 30 stacks, which would be a 3 3 times crit multiplier at 30 stacks. No, that's not right at all. Hold on, let me do some quick math. I feel like this should be a lot easier than it is, but I just woke up not that long ago, so that's what I'm going to blame it on. 9. There it is. It would be 9 stacks of crit, which is pretty crazy, actually. So, love to hear that. And then for the Hedgehog, plus 2 Tidal Aspis charges and retract the Aspis to cause weapon damage once, plus 300% damage from the retraction. So just adds a little bit of synergy to your shield retraction. The bunny got left out here, Sag. I think out of all of these, the bird one is, or the bird and the tiger are the 2 that are probably the best. I mean, Tsunami Punch probably isn't bad. The first 2 just didn't seem that great, but maybe I'm just dumb. I don't know. That just doesn't seem very good. But the last 3, I think, could be worth taking in certain scenarios. So those are all the new spiritual blessings. But now let's move on to the scrolls, which should be exciting. So the first new one we have here, Break the Ice. You unlock it by defeating the Abyssal Serpent twice on elite or higher. It's a legendary scroll, and effect minus level 1. Level 1 ascension randomly, and you get 5 scrolls with at least 1 legendary scroll. So you get a random level 1 ascension, so just a free ascension, which is kind of nice, and you gain 5 scrolls with at least 1 legendary scroll. Or no, okay. I think this is saying minus level 1 ascension. So you lose a level to one of your ascensions, but you get 5 scrolls and 1 legendary scroll, I think is what's saying. I think that's probably worth it most of the time. I mean, if you're guaranteed 1 more legendary scroll, although, once again, it's kind of gambling. It's kind of random RNG here, but it's a fun way. I think it's fun. Although, it's doing the thing that I always complain about when they add new scrolls, which is the new scrolls are just giving you other scrolls that are already in the game and not doing anything super unique on its own. But I think it's another fun way to make you force you to make a decision in the game. So I'm not too upset about that one. Extravagant Consumption. You unlock it by defeating the Dragon Kian once on elite or higher. It's a legendary. Plus 1% all damage for every 100 copper spent. If you bring over 500 copper to the next stage, then the excessive part will be consumed. So it just really wants you to spend your money, and you get bonuses for spending your money. Pog, that's great. I love that. That's more damage output, higher damage numbers. You love to see it. Refresh Addict. Defeat the Desert Boar 50 times. It's a rare, and it costs copper to refresh the peddler's merch, including sold out merch. Okay, so if you buy stuff, you can re-roll. It costs money, but it'll also re-roll the things that are sold out. So you can get a wider range of inventory space. I like that. I'm curious how much it costs to re-roll. I'm sure it's not too much, but I think that's pretty good. I think it's a nice addition. Once again, it kind of helps you if you're looking for something specific, something new. Just helps you see more items, which is good. Ancient Timer. It is automatically unlocked. It's a rare, and it has minus 50% primary skill cooldown and 3-second cooldown for secondary skill. So does that mean your secondary skill is just put at 3 seconds regardless, or is that like plus 3 seconds, minus 3 seconds? I'm guessing that means your secondary cooldown is just a 3-second cooldown. But minus 50% on your primary skill, depending on which character you're on, could be really, really useful. I think the bird benefits from this a ton because of the fact that, his primary skill has the immune frames, the iframes, and helps get the shield back. So Ancient Timer on the bird is probably the most OP. Pretty good on the dog. Pretty good on... It's pretty good on everybody probably, but I think the bird gets the most use out of that one. Glazed Sight. After you defeat the Umbrella Spirit with crits 10 times, it's a rare. You get plus 1.5 times crit. After receiving 50 HP injuries from enemies or traps, it turns to plus 0.5. Okay, so it's a 1.5, but if you get hit 10 times... or if you get hit for 50 health at any point, then it goes to plus 0.5. So, you know, it's a don't get hit and you get better benefits thing, which is good. I like that. There's a lot of games that do stuff like that, so that's pretty good. Rational consumption. It's automatically unlocked. It's a rare, and you get plus 80% skill damage. Oh, okay. But every time you make purchases from the peddler, minus 5% skill damage, and this one cannot be discarded. So here we are again with even more skill damage buffs, which at this point, the amount of damage you could do with skill damage is getting more and more ridiculous by the second. There are so many skill damage buffs, but we added another one. Next up, third time unlucky. You defeat the elite Kappa once. It's a normal, and you get plus 50% total weapon damage. Obtain 1 cursed scroll for every 3 mysterious chests you open. So for every 3 gold chests, you get a cursed scroll. Could be good if you have some cursed scroll synergy. If you don't have cursed scroll synergy, probably not very good because you can't discard it. So kind of depends on the run you're doing, but it could be fun and useful, especially in a cursed scroll run where you want more cursed scrolls. This is another way to get them. Speaking of cursed scrolls, we have some new ones. Cowardly Bully. It's automatically unlocked, and you get minus 30% damage to elites. Oh, good lord. Yeah, you would never want to do an elite room again if you had this. That would just be such a pain in the ass. So, yeah, that's shit. Next up, Heavenly Burden. The higher the max health and max shield are, the lower the movement speed is. Up to 20%. Another pain in the ass. Movement speed is one of the most important things in Gunfire, and decreasing it, not very good. Cautious Shot. Every missing shot causes 1 damage to yourself. This effect will not knock you down. So you can't die. It won't kill you. This effect will not kill you. That one's pretty bad too. But then again, this one you can just say, well, just aim better, forehead. Just don't miss your shots, right? The other two are more annoying. I think the Heavenly Burden by far is the most annoying one, because you can try to avoid elites as much as you can. And once again, this one, as long as you hit your shots, then there really is no curse. Whoops. But this one is guaranteed to be a decrease in your movement speed, which is a pain in the ass. So the new curse scrolls are good. They're obviously things you don't want, which is why they're curse scrolls. So I like the additions. Some effect adjustments, and this is where things start getting a little bit silly because there are a lot of things that had their effects adjusted. So let's go through them. Heavy Shield. The original effect was minus 10% movement speed, but a 50% chance to be immune from normal damage when hit. The new effect is minus 10% movement speed when being hit for 10 seconds, and then a 40% chance to be immune from all damage. For elites and bosses, it's 25%. What? Heavy Shield already wasn't bad. It was a decent option sometimes. This is a ginormous buff. This is a huge buff. Because now you're not guaranteed to have minus 10% movement speed. And yeah, you lose a little bit of a percent chance, but it's not just normal damage, it is from all damage. And you have a 25% chance to just not get hit by elites and bosses. That's pretty pog. Okay, Heavy Shield with a buff. Enhanced Heavy Shield was 60% chance to be immune from normal damage when being hit. Now it is a 50% chance to be immune from normal damage when being hit, 30% for elites and bosses. Really? I feel like if they changed it to all damage here in the original, why wouldn't they change it to all damage here? Because now, okay, so the original Heavy Shield gets a buff, the enhanced version gets a nerf, I guess. Overwhelming Shield. The original effect. Shield recovery will not be interrupted when shield is below 50%. The new effect is shield recovery will not be interrupted, but will slow down by 50%. So, interesting. So, at no point can your shield recovery be interrupted, but it is now slowed down. I think that's good. But they absolutely needed to have the 50% here, because if your shield recovery would not be interrupted and there was no downside, That would be ridiculous. So, yeah, I think that's. I wouldn't say it's a big buff or a nerf. It's just different. And then the enhanced version, the original is plus 50% shield recovering speed. Shield recovery will not be interrupted when it's below 50. It is now shield recovery will not be interrupted, but will slow down by 25% instead of by 50%. Which this is actually pretty good. The enhanced overwhelming shield, I think. Flesh and Bones has a change. The original was you convert all shield and armor to health, and you get plus 2% max health per second. Now you convert all shield and armor to health and get plus 4%. Oh boy, you doubled. This Flesh and Bones just got double the effect. I don't think this changes the fact that you only really want to use this on the dog for the most part, but this just made the dog even better. This is a buff to the scroll, but a buff to the dog as well, and a pretty big one at that. I mean, that's doubling the effect. It's a pretty big effect. Enhanced Flesh and Bones. So the original here was you convert all shield and armor to health, and you get plus 2% max health per second, and it's enhanced by 2% when you lose health. It's now plus 4, enhanced by 4 when you lose 1% health. So another just double buff for Flesh and Bones. You love to see it. Oh god, merciless combo. So the original effect is plus 10% weapon damage for 1 second when hitting the enemy for up to 100 stacks. New effect is plus 15% weapon damage for 2 seconds when hitting the enemy up to 50 stacks. So, this is interesting. Instead of, so let's do some math here. This would be up to 1,000% weapon damage, assuming you're hitting 10 times per second. So that's the maximum there. With the new one, it's 750% weapon damage, so it's less weapon damage, but you're also going to have higher stacks more often because you don't have to hit quite as fast. So the highest potential is dropped down, but the amount of time you have to get to those stacks is higher. And then with the enhanced version, it looks like it's the same thing. It used to be 2 seconds, and now the new one is 3 seconds, but the maximum stacks stays the same. I'd say this is probably a nerf, for me at least. I was able to get up to pretty high amount of stacks a lot of the time, and I was using this a lot with like the dog, dual wielding scalpels or whatever, angelic auras, and it wasn't too bad getting to 100 stacks, but now the maximum damage output is just nerfed down a little bit, which it probably needed. Merciless combo was really, really, really good. So maybe just a little bit of tuning will make it feel less like, oh, I have to get this if I'm running a fully automatic weapon. Next, Sanguine Relic. Oh boy. The original effect was plus 50% damage taken and 3% lifesteal. New effect is plus 50 max HP on top of the other stuff. That could be really interesting because Sanguine Relic has never, ever, ever been a scroll you want to take. But now, with 50 max health, there's a lot of few builds that rely on max health for buffs. The dog, if he's going full in on a health build, could use this as well. Yeah, I think that makes it more takeable. I think it's definitely, it's obviously a buff. It's definitely a buff. I think it's a big enough buff to make it somewhat worthwhile, depending on the run you're doing. And then the enhanced version. Original was plus 3% lifesteal and plus 50% damage taken when your health is full. Now they added the 50% max health on top of it. So this one's really good because your health isn't going to be full super often. And even if it is, then you're just reaping these benefits while you're not getting hit. So I think this is enhanced Sanguine Relic now is definitely a really good one. Terminal Lucidity. The original effect was you reset the cooldown of all of your skills when you lose 20% max health in a single hit. The new effect is reset the cooldown of all skills when you lose 20% max health in a single hit, and obtain 1 temporary skill use. I mean, that's very, 1 temporary secondary skill use? Primary skill use? I'm guessing that has to be primary skill use, because it says does not sack. but maybe not. Either way, whether it's primary or secondary, it's not a huge buff. It is obviously a little bit of a buff, but it's not a very big buff. And I'm guessing, okay, yeah, so the enhanced version is the exact same, except you now get one temporary skill use again. So just added that to the enhanced effect. Energy Sandals. The original effect was you store 12 points of energy for each dash and consume it when you use your secondary skill. You get plus 1% skill damage when consuming each point up to 600 max. New effect is you store 24 for each dash and consume it when using primary or secondary skill. And plus 1% skill damage when consuming each point of energy. So you can now use this not only to buff your secondary skill, but your primary skill as well. And it stores 24 points instead of 12 points for each dash. Excuse me. Although this is interesting because, well, no, I think this is a pretty good buff. Once again, if you're going full in on a skill damage build, then this is just another way to maximize your skill damage. Enhanced Energy Sandals. The original effect was to store 12 points of energy for each dash, and there's a 33% chance to fully replenish energy points upon storing. Consume all energy points when using the secondary skill, and plus 1% skill damage for each one. So, makes sense. New one, store 24 for each dash. 33% chance to fully replenish upon storing. Consume all energy points when using a secondary skill, and plus 1% skill damage for each point consumed. So, once again, the enhanced versions are just getting the slight changes that were made to the normal versions as well. And then Skill Booster, the other skill damage stowing one. The original was you store 2 points of energy for each crit, consume all energy when using a secondary skill to enhance skill damage, maximum of 500. And yeah, I'm guessing it's the same exact thing. So it doubles the amount for each crit, as well as allowing the primary skill to take advantage of all of the stacks you have. Once again, I think it makes these more usable in not fully skill damage runs, but most of the time you're still only going to want to take these in the fully skill damage runs. The enhanced skill booster, same exact thing. It just doubles the amount you store for each crit. Next up, we have Elemental Bestowment. Recover 1%. The original was recover 1% of your max health and 10 ammo of the equipped weapon whenever you kill an enemy affected by the elemental effect. New is you recover 1% max health and 5 ammo. Oh, but it's whenever you trigger the elemental effect. Oh boy. It has a 1 second cooldown. Thank God for that. Yeah, if you're doing this on the Crown Prince, this might, if you see this and you're on the Crown Prince, it might be worth taking Flesh and Bones, because your health recovery is going to be ridiculous with how often you can trigger the elemental effects. Yeah, that's a little insane. I think that's definitely a buff. There's no doubt about it. That's absolutely a buff. The enhanced version, the original was recover 1% max health and shield and armor and 10 ammo whenever you kill an enemy affected. Now it's 1% max health, 1% shield armor, and 5 ammo whenever you trigger it. Yeah, that's really good. Whoops. That's a really, really good change, I think. Next, we have Sucker Punch. Original effect, plus 35% skill damage when the skill hits an enemy with more than 70%. Now it's 45%. Another buff to skill damage. Skill damage is absolutely ridiculous in this game. And then the enhanced version just gets a little bit more of a buff as well. So instead of 0.5%, it's now 0.7% skill damage. Perfect Sixth is the last one here. Original effect, every 5 shots gains plus 50% damage, reset when reloading. Now it's plus 80%. Same thing for the enhanced version. Instead of 100, it's 160. Once again, another just really, really beefy buff to a normal scroll that normally, I mean, Perfect Sixth is something I would usually take anyway, but yeah, I think that's really good. That's a really nice buff. So a lot of really crazy changes, mostly buffs, a couple of nerfs, mostly buffs to a lot of these scrolls. Along with the new scrolls, there's a lot of new stuff to find, which is really exciting. Now, last couple of things here, some quality adjustments. Some scrolls were degraded from legendary to rare. All of the elemental hoops, elemental weave, fountain of life, reinforced eggshell, safety measures, and sanguine relic. Thank God for sanguine relic. That one did not deserve to be legendary. Degraded from rare to normal. Mutual respect, generosity, field support, persistent, berserk, soul, elemental relic, elemental cube, skateboarder, fast loader, terminal lucidity, rock hard determination, energy sandal, skill booster, abundant vitality, genesis, ammo recoverer, magic magazine, and lone ranger. None of those really stick out too much, except for maybe genesis, skateboarder, elemental cube, I think, are some of the big ones. Magic magazine. And then a couple of upgrades. Upgraded from normal to rare. Flesh and bones, propulsion device, untold effort. Yeah, all of those make sense. Upgraded from rare to legendary. Deadly counter and merciless combo. Was merciless combo really a rare? Fuck. Yeah, no, that should be a legendary. So should deadly counter. And then upgraded from normal to legend. Elemental power went from normal to legendary. Holy smokes. I mean, it's a good scroll, but Christ. Fair enough, I guess. Enemies. The appearance frequency of enhanced enemies with defensive affixes is now lower. And there's a new enemy affix, inherited. After one enemy dies, its affixes will be randomly inherited by a normal enemy within 15 meters. And dedicated. 1 second after an enemy dies, all enemies around it will turn into enhanced enemies. Oh, God, those are both pretty annoying. It spreads the affixes around. And adjusted the damage enemies under manipulation cause to other enemies, as well as optimize their actions. Stage adjusted the refresh mechanism of traps in the desert. Now the traps in high difficulty will be more challenging. Oh, great. Great. I'm sure that affects tornadoes, which is just lovely. Sound effect, optimize the sound a little bit. Optimize a little bit of interface options, and then some matchmaking. Also, here are some bug fixes. No, I don't see anything about projectiles clipping through things, so yay. And then additional update, fix the translation mistake, fix the unlock requirement, and then projectile of illusion is incorrect on the weapon panel. So the bug fixes are way less exciting, but all the other stuff is more exciting. So once again, I might try this out again. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see where the days take us. We got a while till Cult of the Lamb comes out anyway, so maybe we'll mess around on the game for a day. But anyways, that's the new update. Let me know your thoughts on the update down below. Once again, as per usual, the most exciting thing that came out of this update is this paragraph right here. Everything else is, there's some good stuff, some bad stuff, but this is the most exciting thing that came out of the update. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, be sure you check the links down below. Check out the Twitch channel, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any other Gunfire content, as well as a lot of the other fun games we're playing. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you all in the next video.